You are listening to Change Radio News. Today is Friday, the 9th of February, 2024. The news read by Olive Ruzizo. Stories making headlines. Harare turns blue as residents stand with Chamisa. Mashonaland East MPs and councillors ditch CCC. And CIO Director General and wife behind evictions in Mwenezi. And now for the stories in detail. Harare was turned blue yesterday by residents who gathered in Belvedere for a Harare province consultation meeting headed by former CCC MPs Honorable Gift Ostalo Siziba and Honorable Amos Chibaya, who spoke on the way forward following their departure from the CCC party, along with Advocate Nelson Chamisa and other legislators and party members. The meeting was part of a countrywide consultation with former CCC members on the way forward for the opposition and to show solidarity with Advocate Chamisa. MPs and councillors who contested under CCC in the last elections from Mashonaland East have disassociated themselves from the CCC party and showed their unwavering support for Advocate Nelson Chamisa. This was announced yesterday after a meeting held in Mrewa. Speaking after the meeting, former Seke MP Honorable Willard Madzimba-Muto had this to say.
As you are aware as a nation that there are recent developments that have occurred, starting with the disputed election on the 23rd of August, culminating in unfortunate events that led to the recall of our elected members of parliament, and subsequently the resignation of our leader, Advocate Nelson Chamisa, from the Citizens Coalition for Change on the 25th of January 2024. It is because of this background that we as the candidates have reconvened to reaffirm and resolve the following. Number one, that as a province, Mashonaland East Province, we are solidly behind the able leadership of Advocate Nelson Chamisa. Number two, we also reaffirm and resolve that we are completely disassociating ourselves with anything that relates to the Citizens Coalition for Change. The slogans, the regalia, titles related thereto, you talk of cluster leaders, you talk of task force, you talk of the National Citizens Assembly. We as Mashonaland East Province candidates and together with the constituents where we come from, we are completely disassociating ourselves from that. We will also clearly resolve that we are going to take further instructions. I think we are going to be releasing information from our leadership as to how further we are going to be moving. But also want to make it very clear, there are issues that have been raised with respect to court cases relating to CCC that are still pending in court. Now, those are administrative issues. Those who intend to handle those issues, they will handle those issues. But as for us as candidates, we are very clear that we have completely distanced ourselves from anything that relates to CCC. And more importantly, there have been issues that have been put to us with respect to our party employees, with councillors who are in council, with members of parliament, and those who are in senate. Now, we also take judicial notice of the fact that these are individuals who retain their right, exclusive right to make their individual choices. We are not making a decision here to force them to resign. We are not doing that. They are going to make their own decisions, from speaking for those who are in Mashonaland East Province, from their own personal point of conviction. But also on that same note, as a province, we have also taken a step further to say we are also taking as a matter of right with respect to our own issues that we are disassociating ourselves from that. And considering the fact that we are in a tricky situation of leadership, people called cluster leaders, employees who are in parliament, who are in council, who are in senate, for purposes of communication, to say how do they communicate as employees under CCC with people who have said they've moved together following Advocate Nelson Chamisa. So because of that, this has informed our decision to say, for now, we have completely disassociated ourselves from anything that is to do or anything that resembles CCC. We have followed Advocate Nelson Chamisa. His statement has been very clear that he's resigning from CCC. His statement was very clear that he is also leaving anything that is to do with CCC. So if there is going to be any discussion, if there is going to be administrative issues, if there's going to be any other statements related to CCC, that relates to CCC. If there's going to be anything that relates to cluster leaders, if there's going to be anything that relates to the National Citizens Assembly, that relates to that. But us as candidates, we have made it clear we have completely disassociated disassociated ourselves from that, and we are standing solidly with also made it clear that as a province, Mashonaland East Province, we are going to be working here from Murewa, being the heart of Mashonaland East Province, as a form of coordination insofar as our future events are going to be concerned. So we want to take this time to thank all of you for coming. We really appreciate the sacrifice, we appreciate the efforts, and I think we are going to take this message again back to our constituency so that the message cascades further down to every citizen that behind Nelson Chamisa we shall stand, and under the able leadership of Nelson Chamisa, so shall we remain, without compromising, without wavering. We are not going to.
Priska Zindari, a member of parliament from Mwenezi West under the ZANU-PF party, along with her husband Isaac Moyo, the Director General of the Central Intelligence Organization, have been involved in evicting 766 resettled villagers and farmers in Ward 16 and other wards. The eviction of the villagers has the full backing of the ZANU-PF-led government and the police, who say the villagers were occupying the land illegally since 2010. Our Change Radio news reporter Wejira Munya filed this report.
The Mwenezi West residents are up in arms against their member of parliament, who is also ZANU-PF member Priska Zandiri, for evicting them in a collaboration with the ZANU-PF-led government. Priska Zandiri, a member of parliament for Mwenezi West under the ZANU-PF party, along with her husband, a former senior Central Intelligence Organization officer and the former South African ambassador, have been involved in evicting 766 resettled villagers and farmers in Ward 16 and other wards here in Mwenezi West. The ZANU-PF-led government has initiated the operation No to Land Barrels. The police have arrested these resettled villagers, claiming that they have been illegally occupying the land since 2010. Recently, the arrested farmers appeared before Rutenga Magistrate courts and were found guilty. As a result, they were charged, or they were made to pay a fine of $10 to $20 and were sentenced to 4 years in prison. However, the prison sentence was set aside on the condition that they pay $10 or $20 and also vacate their land within the 7 days. Failure to do so, they will languish in filthy prisons here in Zimbabwe. Also, the resettled farmers were ordered by the court to demolish their houses and leave their unharvested crops. The affected villagers are blaming ZANU-PF for resettling them solely for the purpose of gaining their votes during the harmonized elections that were held on the 20th of August 2023. The majority of people who have been evicted from their land have nowhere to go. They informed the Change Radio that their children are no longer going to school because they've been evicted. The residents also urged the government to reconsider their decisions of removing them or evicting them from the land before they harvested their crops. Mwenezi West residents are going to suffer from severe poverty after they have failed to harvest their crops. In addition to that, they will experience diseases such as cholera because they don't have anywhere to stay, and also they don't have clean water to drink. The Citizen Coalition for Change parliamentary candidate for 2023, Mr. Brilliant Chifumuro, said government must be considerate to the Mwenezi West villagers who are roaming the streets without anywhere to stay after they've been evicted from their land. He urged the government to relocate these people to land that have infrastructure such as clinics, schools, among others. Reporting for Change Radio, Wejira Munya.
In Gokwe Kabuyuni, activist Nicholas Magara and his wife are living in fear ever since Mr. Magara worked as a polling agent for CCC in last October general elections. Mr. Magara's wife told Change Radio that the threats to their lives are spearheaded by their village head, Mr. Samatanda, who belongs to the ZANU-PF. Let's hear her speak.
Ndini ndinoitwa Mai Magara. Ndinoda kuburitsa pachena magariro atakaita. Magariro atakaita munzvimbo matiri hatina kugara zvakanaka. Hatina kana rusununguko tiri vanhu vari kutambudzika. Zvipfuwo zvedu zviri kurohwa zvichipondewa nevanhu vokwasiya machanga. Sofa nevana kuti tigare zvakasununguka hatina. Tine nguva dzatinombotiza kana baba vasipo. Nguva idzodzo patinodzoka tinowana zvipfuwo zvimwe mbudzi hapasisina. Sofa mbudzi dzatati tichitori nadzo tatava nembudzi dzinosvika kuma13 asiko zvino tasara nembiri. Hatisi vanhu vari safe patiri kuti tikwanise kushandira mhuri yedu chaiko. Hatisi kukwanisa. Nguva zhinji ndedzekushungurudziwa chete. Murume akatiza kuti abve pamba ini ndikwanise kuti ndichashandira vana kuti vaende kuchikoro. Ndiri kutokundikana kuti ndizvikwanise. Saka magariro atiri kuita munzvimbo yasiya matanda akatooma tichishungurudzwa naivo vasiya matanda.
World Cancer Day, which falls on the 4th of February, has been met with negative emotions by Zimbabweans as the number of those affected continues to increase, with people not knowing about the disease until it has advanced. About 7,500 people are affected yearly, with deaths up to 2,500 for the year. Citizens have been shocked by the gazetting of the General Notice 164B of 2024 by Emerson Mnangagwa, which exempts 21 public entities from scrutiny in procurement and disposal of assets. This means that there will be no checks and balances over the taxes paid by the public, which is the source of government funds, reducing transparency. Zimbabwe Council of Chiefs Deputy President Fortune Charumbira has stated that the mass killings between 1982 and 1987, known as Gukurahundi, involving more than 20,000 deaths, cannot be described as a genocide. He said this at a Gukurahundi sensitization workshop in Bulawayo. Acting Manicaland Provincial Police spokesperson, Assistant Inspector Wiseman Chinyoka, is investigating a physical altercation that took place at St. Faith's High School on Wednesday. This fight, which ensued over unpaid school fees by Form 5 students, was between an Anglican priest known as Maveza and a village head, Fungai Changadzo, and also involved an unnamed physically impaired man. Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission has started investigating the source of funds of Wicknell Chivayo, who has been splashing money by purchasing top-of-the-range cars for celebrities such as Ja Preza, DJ Fantan, Sandra Ndebele, Suluman Chimbetu, and his churchmates. Chivayo has accused the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission officers of trying to personally benefit from the car donations. In Manicaland, the provincial civil registrar, Mrs. Joyce Munamati, has been arrested by Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission officers for selling state land in Odzi measuring 32.5 hectares to Calvin Ziki. The land was sold for $15,000 US. As the cholera outbreak continues to spread among citizens in Zimbabwe, Change Radio urges citizens to wash their hands frequently with soap and running water, avoid eating raw or half-cooked meat, refrain from buying fruits and vegetables from street vendors, boil water before drinking, and maintain an all-round good hygiene. To conclude the bulletin, here are the headlines once again. Harare turns blue as residents stand with Chamisa. Mashonaland East MPs and councillors ditch CCC, and CIO Director General and wife behind evictions in Mwenezi.